pin it now. Like, okay, do you want me to zoom?
Yeah,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, mute, guys, please mute, mute. Yeah, we're good. Okay. See, so indentation, yeah. So before talking about indentation, I told you like the space, you give it for a logical block in Python. So what do you mean by that? Like consider for loop in C language. In the for loop, now we used to write like this, if you remember. For I is equals to 0, I less than or equal to 10, and I plus plus. Who know about C language and all? Yeah, they will understand it. If people doesn't know about C language, that's okay. So we'll discuss from the basics. That's fine. Okay, so in for like while writing for loop and all in other programming languages also you use these curly brackets, right? So inside this curly brackets you write the logical code here, logical block, whatever you have, the logical block you write it down here, right? So in Python we use indentation to indentation is like something we give space to in the Python program so that Python will understand that it's a logical block for a particular block actually. So inside this curly brackets, instead of using these curly brackets, I'll be using indentation in Python. So remember that. Okay, I'll show you how to use indentation in Python. Okay, Python provides no braces to indicate blocks of code for class and function definitions or flow control anywhere. So while defining a class or while defining a function or while defining a flow control, like we are not going to use any braces from now. We are going to use indentation only because Python supports indentation only. Okay, yeah. So we'll see like what is this indentation by going into this decision making blocks. Okay, so what do you mean by these decision making blocks? I've clearly mentioned here, decision making is a sequence of conditions occurring while execution. Yeah, that means you're giving so many conditions to the program. So it identifies which condition. I mean, it considers if any condition is satisfied, it considers that condition and it enters into that logical block and specifying actions taken according to the conditions. Yeah. So accordingly, the actions are taken. Whenever if there are 10 conditions out there in the program, if fifth condition is satisfying the needs, then automatically it will enter into that logical block of the fifth condition and it performs that operations. Okay. So there are three types of decision making conditions in Python. One is if statement, the other one is if else statement, the third one is nested if statement. Okay. Let us see the first if statement. Okay, executes the output in the if block if the condition is satisfied. Remember, yeah, executes the output in the if block if the condition is satisfied. Okay, we'll look into few examples so that you will have a better understanding about the decision making. Decision making. Yeah. So first, yeah, I'll take the multi-line comment. Uh, use it here, and then the first one is if, second one is if else block, third one is nested if. Yeah, good. So first we'll start with if block. Okay. So first we'll consider a variable. So already we have seen so many operators. So by using those operators, the conditional operators which we have seen, the conditional operators present in Python which you have seen, we'll use those conditional operators and we define our if block. In these examples, like while teaching, I'll use that. Okay. So consider like a is equals to 5. I've taken a variable a and I've fixed a value of 5 to the variable a. Okay. So if I use if and followed by a condition a double equals to 5, that means a is equals to 5. What is this operator? Can you tell me which category does this operator belong?
Equals to.
That's what, which category does it belong, whether it is a conditional operator or it is a assignment operator or it is a logical operator.
Comparison
Comparison,
operator.
Yeah, sorry, comparison. Yeah, comparison operator, right? So we compare the things by using the comparison operator, right? So that's where we define whether a condition is true or not. Okay, for example, if a, I'll print it out. Can you tell me the output, guys? What could be the output here?
True.
Yeah,
True, sir.
that's right. That's right. So Boolean expression will be our output, and if I print it out, the value is true for me. Okay, good. So now I'll arrange this in the form of a if block. I don't want the output to be as true, right? I need something. If the condition is true, If it is true, I need some operation, set of operations to be executed, right? For that, I'll use if block. If a double equal to 5, yeah, we are not going to use any braces, so we'll use colon. So okay, so before that, now understand this in C language. C is the basic language. That's why I'm telling you the difference between Python and C, the syntax difference. See, okay, like this it will be in C language, if you remember, right? Printf. This was supposed to be our statement, right? Yeah, that's how you write every in C language. Not only in C, in so various programming language, you almost follow this kind of syntax. But in Python, you are not going to use these brackets, these parentheses, and cover brackets as well. I'm not going to use it because we have indentation in picture now. Okay, so I'll use colon. So after using colon, if I click enter, okay, see guys, before before giving any colon to anything, if you click on enter, it comes here directly and to the left corner. The cursor comes to the left corner. After you give a colon, if you click enter, see there's a space here, right? This is called as indentation. There's a space here. Automatically it has created a space. See, that was automatic. So this is called as indentation. If this condition is satisfied, you write like series of statements here. Okay, I'll write down like series of statements. See, the number is 5. I'll give one more print statement. The number is 5. And the variable is also 5. Something. I'm just giving some random statements. Forget about it. Yeah. So what happens now? See, if a double equal to 5, the output, if we print for a double equal to 5, it's true, right? So whenever this condition is true, if the condition is true, go into this block and print whatever the statements are there in it. Not only print statement, you can write different logics to it. Like you can assign different variables, and you can do some mathematical operations if you want inside that if block, whatever. Like based upon the project requirement and all, you once the condition is satisfied, you give those set of instructions there. Okay, now what happens? See, if I see a double equal to 5, yeah, the value a double equal to 5 is true, right? A value is 5 and 5 double equal to 5 is equals to 5. It's true. So once this is true, it enters into this logical block and it prints out my statements. Like what are the sequence of execution steps I have given there? It prints that operations. That's it. So here I have given 2 print statements. The number is 5 and the variable is also 5. So the Python program has printed those 2 print statements. Is this clear? I hope everyone is clear with if block.
Yes.
Okay, what happens if the condition is not satisfied? Let us see. I'll use 6. Yeah, if a equal to 6, I mean the a value is 6. 6 double equal to 5, the statement is wrong. So what happens now? It doesn't print anything. Okay, because it doesn't enter into this block. The condition is not satisfied, then it skips the entire block and it moves on for further execution process. But after the if block, we haven't given any programming instructions there. That's why the output is left empty. Okay, so that's how you create if block. Once the condition is satisfied, the series of statements, whatever you give inside that if block, that will get executed automatically. Okay, if the condition is satisfied only. Yeah. Very good. Okay, next, if else. An if statement can be followed by an optional else statement which executes when the Boolean expression is true. Okay, an if statement can be followed by an optional else statement. Now, after the if statement, so we have got the output as empty, right? So we need to fill something, like at least something should be there. Out of if then all the conditions are not satisfied, at least we should know something has happened, right? For that, else statement will be there at the end of the all the conditional statements. So whenever any condition, if no condition is satisfied there, out of the 10 statements or 11 statements, then automatically it enters into the else block, which executes when the Boolean expression is true. Like if the Boolean expression is true, then if block will get executed. If there is no true expression out of all the conditional statements, then automatically it enters into the else block. So this is the syntax: if followed by expression, colon, and followed by indentation and statements. And after that, else block, colon, followed by indentation and statements. And there is no expression for it because we don't need conditions for else block. If no condition, like all the conditions you have checked it and none of the conditions have given you the value true, then it automatically enters into the else block. We need to know like what's happening. For that sake, we'll write down the else block. Like else, I've clicked on enter, automatically the space it has come. I'll use print, and now, yeah, so the value is not equal to 5. Okay, this is my statement now. So what happens now? Okay, first I have declared a variable, and then I have added one if block. Inside that if block, I have given one condition, and the condition is 6 double equal to 5. The condition is false, and automatically doesn't go into these this print statements into this logical block. It skips that logical block and immediately goes for the other set of instructions after the if block. And if it identifies else block is available after the if block, inside the else block, whatever you give, it prints that statement. See, the value is not equal to 5. So that's how the if and if else block work. Like now you get it right in Python and all. Now use indentation instead of curly brackets. Okay, that's how you create an if block and else block, if else block. Okay, yeah. So before going into this nested if and all, now we'll do a small exercise here. Okay, everyone know about even numbers and odd numbers, right? Everyone are aware of even number and odd numbers. Can anyone tell me what
Yes,
are
sir.
what are even numbers? Yeah, anyone of you. What are even numbers? Examples.
Which
2,
are
4,
divisible
6
2,
and
4,
output
6.
number
will be a
and
0.
Yeah, which are divisible by 2 and the output is 0.
Output is 0. That is even numbers.
Those are called as even
Reminder
numbers.
is 0.
Okay, okay, good. So is 6 an even number or odd number?
Even number.
Even
Even
number.
number, right?
even.
So we need to look for the remainder. So for getting the remainder, what is the operator we use? We use modulus, right? Isn't that right? Yeah, we use modulus to get the remainder part. Okay, I'll use double equal to now. I'll use 0. That means 6 divided by 2, and modulus indicates it gets the remainder part there. If the remainder is double equal to 0, then we can print the number is even, right? Yeah. Else the number is odd, and we'll use this statement. This is a simple exercise we are doing. So the number is odd. So remember, guys, the logic is very important. Like before writing the code, you need to have a logic. Like for even numbers, yeah, you already know. Like if you divide it by 2, if the remainder is 0, then it is called as an even number. In the same way, while doing practical work and all, you need to understand how the logics are working. After when you get the logic only, then enter into the code. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's do it. So a equal to 6. So a is an even number, we know, right? So if I do it, see. So if a percentile to double equal to 0, yeah. So it's even since it got the remainder, the value of the remainder is 0. So that's why it is an even number. That means it is divisible by 2. What happens if I give 7? This condition is false, right? Now this condition doesn't satisfy now. So it goes
It's
into the
all.
else. Yeah. So the number is odd. Okay. Good. So like before writing the logics and all, follow the pseudocode. Okay, pseudocode is very important. Follow the pseudocode, right? Write the logic in the paper and then go for the programming instructions. For example, it's a simple thing. So if I have asked you tell me whether the number is even or not, write a program for it. Okay, for that, so let's just consider like this. First point is write a number into a variable. So this is the first step, right? Variable. Okay, the second step is divisible by 2, divisible by 2, and remainder should be 0. Okay, if you're going with the even number, if it is even. Okay, third step is divide by 2. Okay, instead of divisible, you write it down as divide it by 2. If the remainder is equal to 0, then it is even. Divide by 2, and the remainder, if it is not equal to 0, then it is called as OR. The fourth point is print the statements. Like you can write n number of steps, whatever you want. Okay, so like write something like small kind of shortcuts uh, inside the pseudocode, then after that go for the programming logic. Okay, so before you, if you don't know this logic, then it's waste of time to write the code and all. Okay, syntaxes and all, yeah. So once you learn it, after learning and all, then definitely go with the pseudocode stuff. Okay. Okay, we have decision making. Yeah, so if else block. So we are good with the if else block. And yeah, so now if I want to give the number as an user input, what would I do? Like I'll use input, right? So enter a number, right? So and this input is in string format. I need to convert this by using typecasting technique, right? Okay. Now I'll enter a number. Like if I use 13, it throws me the number is odd. Okay, I'll do it again. If I use 24, the number is even. See, we can give the input also. It's up to us. So that's the importance of if else block, guys. See, so whenever you have some conditions, and if you want to check which condition is true, and after the condition is true, you want to execute some logical block inside it. Then if you need at that time now, you should definitely use if else blocks. What happens if there are multiple conditions? I have only one condition here, that's why we have used it. But what happens if we have multiple conditions there? Then at that time now we'll go with nested if. Nested if. Okay. So we'll go with nested if. Okay, let us see the example for nested if. Okay. So now okay, I'll remove this else block. Now we have only if block, and if I want one more condition, like a percentile if it is not equal to 0, print the number is odd. That's my condition now. So if I want to add it, I'll use elif keyword, elif a percentile 2 not equal to, remember this, not equal to 0. This is a comparational operator again. So I'll print the number is odd. Okay, did you get it? Yeah. So now after elif, you can give a number of statements like this, elif anything. But since we have only two categories here, even and odd, let's go for two conditions. Okay, if it is not able to judge it, we just print it's not a number. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now what we'll do is I'll take this out. Okay, let us do one thing. I'll use 3 now. 3. Okay. So what happens if I give 3 here? So first it goes into this block, 3 percentile 2. No, it's not right, right? It is the remainder is not equal to 0. So if this condition is not satisfied, it goes into this block now. A percentile 2 is not equal to 0. Yeah, this condition is true. So if you divide that by 2, it's not the remainder is not 0. So it goes into this block, and this print statement will get executed. So let us see. See, the number is odd. What happens if I give a string now? There's a type error here. Why?
Error.
So not, yeah. So not all arguments converted during string formatting. See, so Rajesh is a string, and a percentile 2, whether like a percentile 2, the mathematical condition should be satisfied there. So it checks that condition. It's not working there. Then automatically it is throwing you the error. So you can't use strings here. Okay. Oh. What happens if I use 22.5? The Python program doesn't know about the 22.5, so it throws us that number is odd. But this is not right. So these are decimal places, right? Yeah. So at the time, no, you need to increase the logic, like increase the number of statements there. At that time, you can increase the number of statements there, and you can like print out the statements whatever you like. Like if the condition is satisfied, it prints the statement out. If the condition is not satisfied, it jumps into the other block. Yeah, good. And yeah, hope we are clear with the if else and nested if statements. Yeah, this is a nested if. We can use any number of statements here. If expression 1 colon indentation statements, elif expression 2. So remember, guys, whenever you find this if in the keyword, no, so then you need to provide an expression to the program. If not, it throws you the error. Okay, for example, if I don't have this statement here, I've used only elif, and I'll use a is equals to 6. See, invalid syntax. So whenever you identify this if in the keyword now, you need to definitely use the expression here. That's the syntax which is written in Python. Yeah.
Sir,
So that's
once again, sir.
okay. Yeah. So see, whenever you find this if, I mean if word in the keyword now, so definitely you need to give the conditions. So for else you don't need to give the conditions, right? But whenever you are finding if not, definitely you need to provide the conditions. If not, it will throw you the error. See, so previously we have provided a condition. If you, oh yeah, it was like this. So previously, a percentage to
So
not
shall
equal
we
to
write
0.
multiple ellipses?
Sorry.
Shall we write multiple ellipses?
Yeah, you can write multiple ellipses. See, I can write down like ellipse
Okay, sir.
6 or something. That's what. So that's what nested if statements are. Okay. You can write n number of ellipse. N number. You can write. It's up to you. So how many conditions you have now, that many ellipse you can give it here. Okay. But whenever you are giving ellipse now, definitely you need to provide the condition. If you are not providing the condition, it will throw you the error, syntax error. That means whenever you're finding if in any keyword, no, automatically you give the statements there inside this if logic, if else block and nested if. Whenever you are finding if in these blocks now, you need to definitely give the conditions, the expressions there, then only it will execute properly. If not, that will throw you an error. Okay, good, we are good. Okay, next, let's proceed. Yeah, so this is the expression, I mean the syntax for the nested if statements. Okay, again I'm just okay, just going through it, guys. Like the decision making statements, there are three types: if statement, if else statement, nested if statements. Yeah, so when does this decision making statements will come in picture? In the sense, so it's if decision making a sequence of conditions occurring while execution of the program. Yeah, so whenever you have conditions, like different conditions, if the condition is satisfied only, then only you can write some logic to it. At that time now, definitely you need to use the if, nested ifs, and if else blocks wherever it is necessary. Okay, so yeah, you already know the syntaxes. Yeah, we are good with the syntax. Yeah, and yeah, now we'll go with the loops. So execute statements one by one or multiple times. Okay, see, so if you want to like print 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 numbers, so you'll be writing the statements, right? Like from print 1, print 2, print 3, you'll be writing down like all the statements 10 times. If there are 100 times, what happens? If the numbers are like 100, you need to print 100 print statements, then it becomes very uneasy for us, right? It's a time consumption process and it's a manual work, right? Do you agree with me? If you want to print 100 statements, it's very difficult for us, right? Yeah, so at that time, no, what we do is we automate the things. Like we write some program, so the program will try to execute that many times how many we want. At that time, no, we use these loops actually, like execute statements one by one or multiple times. So first we'll start with for loop. Okay, okay. So we'll start with loops concept. We have for loop, and we have while loop, and we have nested loops in Python. Okay, so we'll first start with for loops. Sorry. Okay, we'll start with for loops first. Hashtag for loop. Okay, a for loop is used for iterating over a sequence. So try to understand the statement what I'm trying to tell you. A for loop is used for iterating over a sequence. So you already heard about the sequence. Do you remember the lists, tuples, dictionaries, everything? We call everything as a sequence actually at the time. Sequence objects we have called it. Yeah. So what's the meaning of this? So sequence is like it might be a list, it might be a tuple, it might be a dictionary, or it might be a set, or it might be a string. Nothing but data types except the numerical ones. Since the numerical ones doesn't have the characters or the sequence kind of thing present in it, we don't consider it. So here we have indexing positions for all these, right? So indexing position, whenever you find that indexing position for all the data types, there you call it that as a sequence, and you can use loop for that sequences and all. Okay, so like how you are going to use the for loop for the sequences. Okay, let us start with a string. Okay, so I'll take a Rajesh. Okay, so I want to print each and every letter separately. I mean, that's my requirement now. So if I want to print each and every statement separately, what I'll do is print a of 0. Isn't that right? So we already seen the indexing part. A of 2, a of 3, a of 4, and we have a of 5. Yeah. So this could be the requirement is I need to print each and every character present inside a string. So now I have written print statement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times now. So if I execute this, yeah. So I got the output as RAJESH. That is without using for loop, like we have manually printed the statements. What happens if I have a 100 letter word here, then I need to print the statements like 100 times, right? So that becomes very difficult for me. So now what I will do is I'll use a for loop here. For this is the syntax, guys. Remember the syntax for like I in A, print I. Okay, so we'll make a difference, like we will understand like which print statement belongs to which for loop. Okay, let's print it out. Okay, we'll remove the spaces. Okay, so this is my block. I'm executing it. See, so instead of writing 6 statements, I've written only 2 statements now. So if there is 100 statements here, I'll write only 2 statements. Okay, I'll explain it, like how the for loop is working and all. See, for loop R, for loop A, for loop J. So the for loop is printing out the separate characters now for me. So now the time consumption is reduced, right? Instead of writing all the print statements down there, I've used simple for loop, which executes, like it takes that sequence in picture and it executes everything in a sequential order. Okay, how the for loop is printing out the statements. Okay, I in A. Yeah, so this is also an operator which you already seen. Okay, I in A. So what happens is first it considers A. The A value is Rajesh, right? So it takes the first character and it pushes that first character into I. It pushes that first character into I and it enters into this logical block. So what is a logical block here? It's a print statement. So print statement I've given for loop comma I. So now I has a value R. I has a value R. So it prints out the first R here. And again it goes into A again. Okay, at the second letter it considers, that is A, it pushes that A into this I. That means I has the value A now, RA, the A. So it enters into this block. It prints the statement A. In the same way, again it goes to the A, it takes that value J and it pushes that to I. And it enters into this block. Yeah, that's how the looping is done. Like the indexing part, how many are there? It considers like each character and it assigns itself and it pushes down to the variable and it goes into that logical block and executes that for loop. So till the end of the line, like till the end of the string. So the length of the string it identifies automatically and it ends the program there. Yeah, so that's how the for loop works in Python. Okay, so yeah, so remember the definition. A for loop is used for iterating over a sequence, like we are iterating over a string now. Over a string we are iterating and we are getting the R. Suppose while it is printing out the separate characters, I want the separate characters to be uh, capitalized, to be moved to uppercase. So what I'll do, I'll simply type I dot upper in the print statement. See, so each and every letter is converted into capitals now. So any condition, like whatever the series of operations you want to do inside the for loop also, you can give it. I've just simply yeah, sorry. I've just simply given a print statement inside the for loop, but in the real time, no, we will not have the print statements there. We'll have some series of operations, we perform them, and we try to get into some conclusions there. Okay, that's how the for loops work. Okay, so this is one way to write the for loop. Okay, so in this, what's happening is it is directly taking the character. But what if you want to carry the index instead of the character? like carry the index into this I value. What is that you are going to do? Okay, at that time now we'll use the range function. Remember, range, you already seen it. Range starts with initial value and the end of the value. So now the end of the value is the length of A, right? So we already know what is A. A is Rajesh, and the length of A is 6. So 0, comma 6, right?
6.
Yeah, 0, comma 6. That means it considers from 0 to 5 because the Python excludes the last value, right, in the range function. Yeah. So now what happens is 0, comma 5 is my range now. Okay. Now what happens is whatever you give it here, that will be taken into this I. So now the range of numbers is assigned to I. Okay. See now what happens if I print only I. Okay. Yeah. So now what happens is first the value 0 is assigned to I. It enters into the logical block, that is the print statement block. It prints out that I value. Now the I value is 0, not the character. We are getting the I value 0 because range, we have given the range there, right? So yeah. So if I see, so it prints out the range values now, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What if you want to print the characters now? What I'll do is simply I'll write A of I here, A of I. That means A of 0, A of 1. This, the print statement, whatever you have written here, now it is officially converted into a for loop in this way. So there are multiple ways, to write the logics and all. You can use any logic. Like if you think this is good enough for me, you can use this. Like when you are considering with the series of operations at the logical block and all, no? If you want the index number to be there instead of the character inside the logical block, then use the range function. If you don't want the index number, you want only the characters to be pushed into the loop, then use normal the sequence, whatever the string or the list or whatever it is. Okay, yeah. So now if I print it, see the same output, same output. Yeah. So this is how you deal with strings actually. Okay. What happens if I take a list? Okay. What happens if I take a list? So we'll use 3 names. I'm using the same examples, guys, because I want to show you like how the same example is being used in different Python examples. Like in the if block also, I'm using the same in lists and tuples and dictionaries, everything, right? So in the different Python data types or functionalities and all, how it is being used and how it is being converted. You need to understand that. Okay. Okay. Good. So I'll remove 3 print statements since we have only 3 elements now in the list. Okay. Rajesh, Naveen, and Manish. Yeah. Okay. I'll hide this for some time. I'll remove it. If I print it, see. So there's my output. So now I'll use the same thing for loop. For similarly how we have used for string, use the same process. And I am giving a variable here. You can use any name you want. Remember that. I is something I'm giving it here. But you can use any name you want. Like for example, I'll use ELE. Like something. ELE is element kind of. For ELE in A, print ELE. Okay. I'll distinguish between the outputs. And that would be very easy for us. Yeah. So, okay, we'll look into it now. See, for loop Rajesh, for loop Naveen, for loop Manish. So we have printed that out, right? Same thing. If you want to use the indexes instead of the elements now, go with range 0, comma length of A. Yeah, and here A of ELE. Now because ELE consists of numbers, the same thing, same output. So whatever you want, the for loop, if you want to use like, yeah, for loop anywhere, like for getting the sequence iterated out there and all, use the for loop. Okay, are we good? So if we are good, right? Everybody understood what is for loop and all. Okay, good. So inside the for loop also we can use if statements. We can use it if statements. If the condition is satisfied, then only print it out. Right? For example, see, I'll give a if statement here. If A of ELE is equals to Manish. See, here I have given one block. This is the indentation for that block. Okay. Again, I given colon here, and this block belongs to this block. So indentation is here. So you need to maintain the indentation properly. Okay. So now A of ELG double equal to Manish. That means whenever the Manish comes in picture in ELG, I mean the range we are using now, since we are using the range 0 comma length of A, that means A of ELG. A of 2 is Manish. So whenever if A of 2 Manish comes in picture only, then only it prints the statement. If not, it will not print out. See, it has printed only one statement now, Manish, because we are searching for Manish inside the list. That's what it is, right? Yeah. So do this as a homework, guys. Like use a if loop inside a for loop. Okay, I'm giving you the homework now. Like, okay, consider a list. Inside the list, give 5 names at least. 5 names. 5 names, okay? Are we good? Give 5 names. Okay. So whichever name starts with A out of the list items, whichever name, listen carefully, whichever name starts with A, okay? Make that entire string into uppercase. That name, entire name into uppercase, and print that uppercase one only. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So try to complete that homework. Yeah.
Repeat once.
Okay. Listen again. Okay. Consider a list. Take a list and write 5 names into that list. Any 5 names, random 5 names. Okay. Now add a for loop, and if any name starts with A, starting letter starts with A, then make sure you convert that into uppercase, that letter, that word, and print that word. That's it. Like for example, if inside a list we have 3 words starting with A, I need those 3 to be printed out in the uppercase. That's it. Is that clear?
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. And second homework is print out even numbers in a given range. Like take any range, like 0 to 10 or 0 to 100, anything. I want the even numbers to be printed out in that range. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, we have like loop controlling statements. Oh, let us go here. Yeah, so this is the syntax for it. Nested loop. Yeah, we'll look into it. While loop. Hold on. Hold on. First, yeah, can you please mute guys? Go. Yeah. So now the loop control statements, we'll look into it and we'll come back to the while loop and the nested loop. Okay. So changes the execution. So loop control statements are something where it changes the execution process. Sometimes it might stop the process. Sometimes it might jump the process. Okay. Let us see the break and continue how people use it. Okay. Let us consider list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Like I'm going to print out all the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But till 4 only I need. My requirement is I need the loop to be stopped at 4 only. So here you can't stop the loop, right? You're just giving some conditions there. That's it. You're just giving some conditions there. Okay. If A double equal to, okay, first we'll print the for loop for I in A, print I. Okay. 1 minute, guys. Yeah, sorry guys, someone is shouting outside. We'll wait for 1 minute. Okay, yeah, sorry. So if I print the statement here, automatically see, I get the output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What happens? If I need I mean, till 4 only the process, the for loop should be executed. I want to stop the for loop. Then see, if I double equal to 4, I'll make sure it breaks the statement there. Okay. So I'll use print I here now. So if the I value is 4, it breaks the entire for loop there, and it gives me only 1, 2, 3. If you want to print the 4 also, like if you want to print it till 4, you shift the statement here. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 will be the output format. So I've used the break statement to break the loop now, right? Yeah, in the same way you can use continue also. Continue is one more loop control statement. Continue, what it does, it jumps that output actually. See, if I use continue, so if I use this print statement down here, see, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. The 4 is not there. That means if you want to skip anything, now use continue. If you continue now, it breaks that particular execution process and it goes into other the other thing, the other iterative point. Okay, so 4 it skips it and it goes into the 5 directly. So that's how you can use loop control statements to perform some operations there where you can halt your for loops and all that. Okay, yeah. So I guess we are good with the class today. So I'll stop the recording and